Well, hello, my friends. Hope you're doing well. Today is Tuesday, November 18th. This is the day when the House of Representatives is going to defy the Orange God King and vote to release the Epstein files. They're saying that it may be unanimous, which, by the way, if that's what happens, it goes to show you how pathetic these Republicans are. Because the only reason it would be unanimous and every Republican would vote for this to release the Epstein files is because Donald Trump, did this about face. Not that he's changing his position on this, not that all of a sudden he really does want the Epstein files released. Of course, he doesn't. He's scared to death of that happening. And he will do literally anything to continue to cover up those things that incriminate him. And I believe absolutely that there are things that actually incriminate him in crimes. I don't think it's just he knew what Jeffrey Epstein was doing, he knew and didn't do anything. I don't think that explains it. I think he did the worst of what he may have done. Let your mind wander. I think he did those things. Don't know, but I think that is the explanation for all his behavior. Anyway, back to these pathetic Republicans. The only reason they would be voting unanimously, because up until now, how many were there? 3 or 4? Thomas Massie, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who, if you haven't seen what she said today about Trump, I posted a video about it on my main channel, the Romano Report, today. You need to check that out. You probably did see it by now, but if you didn't see my video on it, then you're missing some good stuff. So anyway, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tom Massie, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace. I believe those are the only 4 who said that they were going to vote in favor of releasing the Epstein files. And that's why Donald Trump, even with Congresswoman Grijalva being sworn in and signing her name to that discharge petition, getting it to the floor of the House, even after that happened, I think he really thought that he could quash the vote, that he could lean on 1 or 2 of these Republicans, one of these 4, and get them to change their mind. That's why they brought Lauren Boebert into the Situation Room at the White House to try to convince her, maybe scare her. I don't know. Don't know what they did in there or said to her. But that didn't work. And it was only when all of that failed that he realized, okay, I can't stop it. And so I can't be seen as weak and impotent. I can't have it be seen that I couldn't control the Republicans completely in the House and that they voted against my wishes. I can't be seen to have lost this vote. So I'm just going to pretend that now I'm for it. And so it was only after that happened that I guess a deluge of Republicans are now going to vote for this, maybe even all of them. Which means they always wanted to vote for it all along. They just were not going to because Donald Trump didn't want them to. And that just, that doesn't surprise us at all, but it just shows once again how freaking pathetic these people are. They don't do anything unless Donald Trump approves of it. They don't want to do anything that's going to piss Trump off, which goes back to the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing, who, she is standing up to him, calling him a traitor. The fact that she's doing this, I hope this encourages other Republicans to start defying this guy and speaking out against him because they want to. Oh, they want to. They hate this guy, a lot of them. And they know that he's electoral poison, especially in the House. Every damn one of them is up for re-election next year. They don't want to have to be defending him. They would love to be able to speak out against him, but they're scared to death to do it because they're afraid of the cult Maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene and what she's doing will give them courage. I don't expect a lot of them, but maybe one by one, they'll get some courage and they'll start opposing Donald Trump. If for no other reason than self-preservation, because like I said, the man is toxic. He's going to sink them all if they don't distance themselves from Trump. And that's probably not going to do them much good anyway, but if they don't do it, they're cooked. But I guess it remains to be seen what happens to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Will she be able to survive all this? Trump calling her a traitor. Will she be able to survive this? Because in the past, if Trump called a Republican a traitor, that's it. They're done. So far, that doesn't seem to be the case with Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's not backing down. And if anything, she appears to be more emboldened. So she survives this. Maybe she's an example to other Republicans to stand up and oppose this piece of shit. But anyway, the fact that almost none of them were willing to vote in favor of releasing the Epstein files before Donald Trump's, changed his tune and said he supports the House voting in favor of it. Until then, only 4 of them were going to vote for it. Now all of them are going to vote for it. Bunch of cowards. So anyway, we got that going on. I haven't done a longer episode of this show for a while, so I've been busy. So I want to get caught up on a few things in no particular order. Pam Bondi. God, isn't she awful? God, she's so awful. She should be disbarred. I mean, she has done things certainly worthy of being disbarred. There are so many lawyers in this Justice Department who should be disbarred. You see what happened with this Lindsay Halligan, this hack, this unqualified hack that Donald Trump appointed to be U.S. attorney in Virginia because the former guy refused to indict James Comey and Letitia James, so Trump gets rid of him, or I believe he resigned before Trump could fire him. And then he puts Lindsay Halligan in there. Never tried a case in her life, never handled a criminal case in her life, never served a day as a prosecutor, not even a little misdemeanor baby prosecutor somewhere. Now she's friggin' U.S. attorney? So, what a freaking joke. What an absolute joke. Anyway, here we go. This is from the AP yesterday. Headline: Judge scolds Justice Department in Comey case. The Justice Department engaged in a disturbing pattern of profound investigative missteps in the process of securing an indictment against former FBI Director James Comey. This from a federal judge who ruled on Monday, directing the prosecutors to produce to defense lawyers all grand jury materials from the case. Those problems, wrote the magistrate judge, William Fitzpatrick, include fundamental misstatements of the law by a prosecutor to the grand jury. Whew, that's bad. That to the grand jury that indicted Comey in September, the use of potentially privileged communications during the investigation and unexplained irregularities in the transcript of the grand jury proceedings. That's bad. So when you take fundamental misstatements of law, what exactly does that mean? Well, I suppose it could mean 2 different things. It could mean that she lied. And by the way, she's the only one who was in the grand jury room. And that's part of a problem for them legally, because one of the motions to dismiss the indictment against Comey, I think Comey and Letitia James, is that both of them, I think, have filed this motion, or certainly can. Comey definitely did. Was that she's not legally the U.S. attorney, because she has been appointed as interim or acting U.S. attorney, and the former guy was acting U.S. attorney, never got Senate confirmation. And the law is that an acting attorney can only serve for so long before a Senate confirmed, before either that person gets Senate confirmation or another, someone else gets appointed and confirmed by the Senate. Someone can only be in an acting capacity for so long. And then after that, the court gets to appoint a U.S. attorney. You can't just get around Senate confirmation by just appointing all these acting or interim people. Okay, that shit's not legal. There's Senate confirmation for a reason, and U.S. attorneys require Senate confirmation. Well, last guy wasn't, and the time that he could serve as acting had already expired when Trump just appointed another acting U.S. attorney, Lindsey Halligan. Well, you can't do that. You can't. The clock doesn't start running again when you appoint another acting attorney, an acting U.S. attorney. So that's one of the motions, that this woman was never legally in that position to begin with. And if that gets granted, the problem is no other prosecutor was involved in presenting this case to the grand jury. So if other prosecutors from the office had been involved, even if Lindsey Halligan was found to have been, an illegal appointment, well, there still were other lawyers who were involved in the prosecution, the securing the indictment. And so arguably, the indictment could survive even kicking Lindsey Halligan out of there. But she was the only one, because apparently nobody else wanted anything to do with it. So this inexperienced friggin' hack goes in there to the grand jury all by herself and presents this case. Now, if that motion is granted, there's no other prosecutor. That should be it. The case should be dismissed. The indictment should be dismissed. And because, at least in the James Comey situation, the statute of limitations has already run, they can't refile it. Now, Letitia James, the statute of limitations has not run, so they could refile the case against her, seek a new indictment. But they've both got other legal arguments they can make. Neither one of them are going to be found guilty if they even get to trial. There's a good shot neither one of them get to trial. I would bet money that the James Comey thing is just dismissed by the judge at some point for one of these legal reasons. Anyway, back to this fundamental misstatements of the law. So it's either, on the part of this Lindsey Halligan, either she lied to the grand jury or she's just a fucking idiot. Either one I can see, because she clearly is an idiot. And she's completely incompetent for this position, putting her stupidity aside. And have you ever heard this woman speak? Moron. Anyway, she's completely unqualified. Never served a day in her life as a prosecutor. Now you are the U.S. attorney? Come on. Anyway, so I don't know if she went in there and lied, which, I mean, she's a Trump political hack. She's certainly capable of that. Or whether or not she's just an idiot, which she is, so she's certainly capable of just getting the law wrong for the grand jury. Either way, that's a problem. Especially if she lied. If she lied to the grand jury. And that's a part of the problem with these grand juries. You've heard it said that a good prosecutor could indict a ham sandwich. And I take it a step further. I'd say that even a bad prosecutor can indict a ham sandwich. It's easy. Okay, I have presented to many I don't even know how many cases, hundreds of cases to grand juries. I've gotten hundreds of indictments. You go in there, the prosecutor controls the whole process. There's no judge, there's no rules of evidence, there's no objections. The defense doesn't get to be there. The defense lawyer doesn't get to be there. I mean, the prosecutor could allow that, but that almost never happens. It's just the prosecutor and whatever witnesses the prosecutor wants to call. And usually they don't even call any witnesses. I mean, there could be 50 witnesses in the case that get called at trial, they're not coming to the grand jury. Usually it's just the chief investigating law enforcement officer that comes to the grand jury, and they just read their police report, or they summarize the report or summarize the evidence. And there's no cross-examination. Like I said, rules of evidence don't apply. Hearsay is allowed. It's nothing but hearsay in there for the most part. So these grand jurors only are told the facts that the prosecution wants to present to them. And, you know, if you're a serious prosecutor, number one, you're not going to seek an indictment unless you not only believe there's probable cause for an indictment, which is the standard for an indictment, the legal standard, but also that beyond that, you also believe you have evidence sufficient to prove your case beyond a reasonable doubt at trial. So even if you think that you've got probable cause for an indictment, but you're not sure, or you don't think that you have proof to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt, then you don't indict if you're an honest, ethical prosecutor. But a prosecutor could, you know, not tell the jury about any exculpatory evidence, anything that might be good for the defense. They could just tell them only the evidence that points to their guilt and none of the exculpatory stuff. And so the point is, the grand jury gets a very lopsided presentation of the evidence. And then they don't know anything about the law. The law is provided or explained to them by the prosecutor. So if the prosecutor is going to go in there and lie about what the law is, I mean, it's already easy to get an indictment. If you're going to go in there and you have no ethics at all and you're just going to lie about what the law is, I mean, you could get a grand jury to do anything. And if you lie about the law, you lie about the facts. It could be a completely sham process, right? And maybe that's what happened here. And if it did, she's certainly incompetent to be in this position. She shouldn't be in the position, even if she wasn't a political hack. But if she lied, she should be disbarred. She should absolutely be disbarred. But what I've come to, you know, especially in the era of Trump, is that my profession is for shit. My profession does not police its own. Lawyers have a well-earned reputation for corruption. And because our state bar associations, which are, you know, responsible for the licensing of attorneys, are pathetic. They're a joke. I mean, all of the lawyers who have committed fucking crimes for Donald Trump, and like none of them lost their licenses, none of them really even got disciplined in any serious way. And it's a joke. They were involved. I mean, so many of these people were lawyers, literally involved in helping a president overthrow the republic. Not disbarred, no professional discipline, nothing. You know, they pushed these bullshit. They lied to courts. I mean, it's just outrageous. So she should be disbarred if she lied to a grand jury. But let's face it, she won't be. She probably won't even get a slap on the wrist. Okay, what else do I have here? Going back to Pam Bondi. Oh, but there were other things too. So fundamental misstatements of law by a prosecutor, the use of potentially privileged communications during the investigation, and unexplained irregularities in the transcript of the grand jury proceedings. What the hell does that mean? Where I'm assuming there are gaps, unexplained gaps. Maybe this was did they videotape the proceedings? Were they audio recordings? Was there transcription? What was going on there? But whatever it was, it sounds to me like there's gaps. They don't want anyone to see or hear what happened right here. I don't know what else it would be. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Okay, so anyway, this just friggin' bad, and it's an embarrassment, and worse than an embarrassment, obviously. Probably criminal activity going on there by the prosecutor. I don't want to deal with that. Pam Bondi. So she orders an investigation because Trump tells her to. Yet, it was just a few months ago that she testified under oath to Congress that she looked into all this Jeffrey Epstein stuff. She looked through all the files. She did an exhaustive search, an exhaustive review of the Epstein materials, and she concluded, in her professional legal opinion, as Attorney General of the United States, what a friggin' disgrace that is, that there is not sufficient evidence to even investigate anyone else who had not already been charged in any of this stuff. So there's nothing, according to her, under oath to Congress, there's no evidentiary predication to launch an investigation into anybody. Case closed, done. That's what she said under oath to Congress. Then all Trump has to do is send out a post on Truth Social, and suddenly within hours, boom, she appoints the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York to head the investigation into Bill Clinton and Larry Summers and the founder of LinkedIn, I forget his friggin' name, and whoever else. So she is going to expend money, taxpayer money, departmental resources to do a witch hunt investigation against Donald Trump's political enemies to distract from Donald Trump's involvement with his best friend, Jeffrey Epstein. Because we already know there's nothing there. There's no legal basis to investigate anyone. That's what she said. Of course, we all know that's actually not probably true. They're just covering up all the people who might have criminal exposure here, including her boss. So, anyway, I'm sure, I shouldn't say I'm sure. I hope that if Democrats win control of Congress, even just the House, next year, that this is one of the things they investigate. God, can you imagine? Do you know how much they need to investigate? I don't even know if it's possible to investigate everything, all the corruption and criminality of the Trump administration that needs to be investigated. But this certainly is one. The Attorney General, testifies under oath. There's nothing there. Then she appoints a prosecutor because Trump sends out a Truth Social post. Yeah, kind of should be investigated with an eye towards impeaching and removing Pam Bondi from that position. Okay, what else do I've got here? Oh, I talked about this the other day. Let me just mention it in case you didn't see that video. Where is that one? Do I have this article? Dadgummit. I don't know. Oh, here it is. This is from PBS. Military personnel seek legal advice on whether Trump-ordered missions are lawful. Let me read a little of this. Military service personnel have been seeking outside legal advice about some of the missions the Trump administration has assigned them. The U.S. strikes against alleged drug trafficking boats and deployments to American cities have sparked a firestorm of debate over their legality, and some service members are turning to nonprofit organizations for help. Yeah, you should. You should be getting lawyers, and some of these people are in deep shit. They should have been getting legal advice before they carried out any of these orders. It's good that they're getting legal advice now. But if any of that legal advice is anything other than, yeah, Trump's orders are illegal and these are war crimes in which you should not engage, you should you should refuse these illegal orders. If they get any advice other than that, then they're getting bad advice because this shit is illegal. Blowing up, especially the blowing up of these boats in the Caribbean with no legal authorization. It's not in self-defense of the country. These boats 1,000 miles off our coast, these tiny little friggin' boats are not a threat to the United States such that immediate deadly force by the U.S. military is required to defend the United States. No, there is no legal justification, no legal basis for the use of force for these. These are murders. That's what this is. And the problem is that we've already murdered a lot of these people. We're talking about a lot of strikes. I don't even know how many we're up to. I don't know how many people have been murdered, but anyone who carried out these orders, anyone who was involved in carrying out these orders that resulted in murders, war crimes, these people have committed crimes. And they can be prosecuted for this. Obviously, Trump's not going to prosecute them. But if they don't receive pardons on Trump's way out, the next president can prosecute these people. And you know what? They should. Because it is important to send a message to the military, reminding them you are required to refuse illegal orders. You don't get to follow illegal orders and murder people and then just say, hey, I was just following orders. No, it didn't work for the Nazis, and it shouldn't work for you. And it is important that these people be prosecuted, because we do not want a military to be doing this kind of shit. And prosecuting people is going to be important for the future. Okay, what else I got? The detestable Ted Cruz is getting ready to run for president. Yeah, who didn't see that coming? That's been his plan all along. His plan was in 2016 when he lost to Trump. And remember, it came down to him, to Trump, and Cruz. And there was actually an open question there for a while. Ted Cruz had a shot there for a little bit. And, Trump just insulted him and his family, accused his father of being part of the assassination of JFK. He mocked his wife's looks. I forget exactly now what he said about his wife being ugly or whatever. Just awful. And of course, Cruz, who has no self-respect, he's not a real man, just goes and sucks up to Trump because he realizes, okay, I'm not getting the nomination this time, but one day I want to run for president as soon as Trump is out of here, so I'm going to get back in good with him, kiss his ass as much as I possibly can until I can have my shot to run for president. What a cowardly piece of shit. The man insults your wife as he's running for president. Insults your wife in front of the whole friggin' world, and you kiss his ass. What a pathetic excuse for a man you are, Cruz. You're a fucking disgrace. Why your wife is even with you? I mean, good Lord. He doesn't even stand up for you and you stay with him? Fucking pathetic. Okay, so there's that, Ted Cruz. And, there's going to be a lot of them. And boy, is that primary going to be friggin' awesome. It's going to be great. And I tell you what, it's going to suck the life, because it's going to be open primaries on both sides, right? The Democrats are going to have an open primary. The Republicans are going to have an open primary, but they're not going to get equal media attention. I can guarantee you, because you're going to have normal candidates running normal campaigns on the Democratic side, and on the Republican side, you're mostly going to have a bunch of fucking lunatics just attacking each other, just being as nasty, because that's what works on the Republican side to get the Republican nomination. Trump has taught them that. And so they're all going to be attacking each other. That's how Trump got the nomination in 2016, by attacking and personally destroying one at a time each of his Republican opponents. Little Marco, he went after him. I mean, he did it to all of them. And that's what works on the Republican side. So they're going to tear into each other. And it also helps that a lot of these people friggin' hate each other. MAGA is not a cohesive movement. It's not a cohesive party. It's a cult. It's a personality cult. The only thing that unifies them is Donald Trump. Now, they do have hatred of Democrats. Obviously, that unifies them. But in terms of policies and positions and priorities, no. You got different groups of people who hate prioritize hating different groups of people or things. I mean, it's a collection of hate groups inside MAGA. That's what MAGA is. It's a collection of hate groups and stupid people who are united in their mindless, damn near worship of Donald Trump. That's it. Once Trump is out of the picture, once Trump is no longer their guy, as he's not going to be on a ballot again, he's going to be gone soon. It's even if he even makes it. There's nothing that's going to unify them. And the hatred that they have for each other, and man, they got a lot of it. They're going to start attacking each other. By the way, I mentioned if he's even around, if he even makes it to the end of his term. All right, that's still on. Did you see him yesterday? I saw some video of him from the Oval Office. He sounded awful. His voice was all raspy. And of course, people get very excited anytime there's a possible health thing going on with Trump. A lot of people crossing their fingers. Not me. I don't want Trump to expire in office. I want him to make it to the end. I do not want him to die in office as a MAGA hero, and his the truth about him rewritten. If he dies in office now, God forbid, when Republicans are in when Republicans are in the position to do this, they would be in a position to do this. If Trump were to kick the bucket in office right now, you'd have President J.D. Vance, you'd have both houses of Congress controlled by Republicans. You know what they would do? We'd have a Donald Trump national holiday. They'd start renaming buildings and national parks and monuments, and they might friggin' try to rename the country after Donald Trump. The United States of Trump, I guess, or something. Maybe some of these red states will rename themselves. Maybe it'll be the Texan Republic of Trump or something. I don't know. Maybe we have the new state names. Just imagine. Some of these. You go to some of these red states. If Trump dies in office, you will probably every damn school in the entire state will be named after Donald Trump. The name of the town and Trump in the name of the school somehow, right? Everything will be a Trump school. Every friggin' airport will be renamed after Trump. Every friggin' train station, every hospital. No, I do not. He's got to make it to the end. And I hope when he gets to the end that he tries to cling to power, that he pulls some shit, because none of it's going to work. And it will end very, very badly for him. And that's what needs to happen. This all needs to end very badly for him. So, so he didn't sound good. So, but he probably just had a cold. He said that he had been yelling the night before, that he was pissed off about, what did he say he was pissed off about? Tariffs or something? I don't remember what the hell he said. He was mad about something and he was yelling. He said he blew his top, I think he said. Yeah, maybe that's what it was. Or maybe he was up all night servicing that Bubba guy, whoever that is. I don't know. Something irritated his throat anyway. Okay, what else do I have here? Okay, let's look up here. So I guess we still don't know. When are they voting on this Epstein shit? I don't see any news about a vote having taken place yet. But I saw that Jeffrey Epstein's brother Mark was interviewed on News Nation or some shit I think he was talking to Chris Cuomo. And he had some interesting things to say. He said that he has heard from a well-placed person. Didn't say who this was, but a well-placed person who says that there is an entire operation in a warehouse in, I think he said, Winchester, Virginia, where they are scrubbing the Epstein files. I could believe it. I could totally believe that they have, because they sent 1,000 FBI agents and DOJ officials just sent them out to go find all the Epstein files, find everything that mentions Trump in any way. I could see them all bringing that to a central location, and they just have teams of people just scrubbing these files, redacting shit. Maybe they got the shredder going. Maybe they got a bonfire out back. I don't know. But I can absolutely believe this because there's not a chance in hell that Trump is going to allow any, or he's certainly not going to order the release of anything that's going to incriminate him. But I heard, who was it? Rick Wilson made the point that this was a big mistake, potentially, by Pam Bondi and Kash Patel in assigning like 1,000 FBI agents and DOJ officials to go look through all these files. Because that's a lot of people. And if they're not all 100% Trump loyalists, like Trump or die kind of loyalists, maybe all it takes is one. Because they will have seen some bad shit more than likely. All it takes is one to grow a conscience, to say, I can't go along with this. I need to blow the whistle. I need to leak this information or something. That's a lot of people. And when you want to run a competent, effective cover-up operation, you want as few people involved as possible. Because all it takes is one person to bring the whole thing crashing down on you. I don't know that that's going to happen, but it's a possibility. There's a lot of people. Now, not all 1,000 of them probably saw, incriminating evidence against Trump, but some of them must have. And so, I don't know. Maybe it's TikTok. Maybe it's just a matter of time till somebody comes forward or somebody leaks this. Can't one of them just fucking leak it somehow? Can't you cover your tracks? I mean, come on. Can't you find some way to have layers of protection between you and whoever you leak to so that they can't identify it back to you? But you leak this information that, is inarguable or certainly, that causes a greater examination, causes something to happen. Can't you do something? Anyway, okay. So Jeffrey Epstein's brother. What do you guys think should be done with this ballroom? Because people are talking about if a Democrat wins in 2028, there's debate among Democrats. What should we do with Trump's ballroom? Should we demolish it? Should we repurpose it? Some people think we should turn it into a museum of, authoritarianism, the dangers of authoritarianism. I mean, I like the idea of a museum like that. You have the Hitler wing right next to the Trump wing, or combine them. Since it's a big ballroom, just have it all in one space. Maybe call it the Hitler Trump Ballroom Museum. I don't know. So I like the idea of a museum of that sort, as long as Donald Trump is featured prominently, right alongside the Fuhrer. But I don't like that idea. To me, the thing needs to be fucking bulldozed to the ground. I do not want anything this piece of shit built needs to be taken down. So on day one, if I'm president, and no, I'm not running. If I were president, on day one, I'm signing one executive order. It's like the first friggin' thing I do. In fact, I would do it in the middle of my speech. It would be part of my inaugural address, where I would, with one executive order, undo every single Trump executive order. That's it. Just wipe it away with one signature. And you can do that. I would sign another fucking order or give an order, whatever. That ballroom's coming fucking down. Everything that this piece of shit built, by then, if he has an archway built, that's coming down. Whatever he built, coming down. Certainly that ballroom. I don't care what it costs. Because, and repurposing it to something else? No. Because it could just be repurposed again. All right? If it's there, then one day, if we haven't thoroughly defeated MAGA to where these MAGAs don't even admit that they ever were MAGA, and that's where I hope we get to. That's why I say I want this to end very badly for him. I want it to end very badly. I want him to try to cling to power illegally. I want us to have to drag his ass out of there or whatever. I want him to commit all kinds of crimes and we drag his ass out. We fucking prosecute him. Whatever. I want it to end badly for him. So that nobody, that at some point in the near future, none of these friggin' red-hatted MAGAs will even admit that they ever supported him. One of my all-time favorite tweets was posted by David Fromm. He had it as his pinned tweet for a long time. And he said, and he had this up years ago, I think. He said, by the time this is all over, I'm paraphrasing, by the time this is all over, no one will even admit they ever supported it. Something along those lines. No one will ever, you will not find a Trump supporter at some point in time. All these Trump supporters running around with their fucking hats on, kissing his ass all over the place. They'll scrub their social media. They'll delete their accounts. They'll burn their red hats. And they'll say, me? No, I never supported Trump. I never voted for Trump. You won't be able to find a Trump supporter. That's the place this country needs to get to. But unless we get there, I mean, if MAGA lives on, if Trump is still celebrated by these people, then if they get back into power, you know, if another MAGA Republican gets elected somewhere down the line and that ballroom still exists, it's just going to be converted back to the Golden Palace Ballroom and Trump's name's going to be all over it. It's going to be the Trump Ballroom again. So you can convert it into a Trump Hitler Museum, but as long as it's still standing, it could be converted back to the Trump Ballroom. I don't want to see that happen. You want to see that happen? No. The only way to make sure that doesn't happen is to bulldoze the fucking thing to the ground starting on day one. And that's what I would do. Okay, that's going to have to do it. I got to run. Thank you all for watching. Talk to you again soon.